have a confession to make. Now, as a young, impressionable girl, every time Wangari Mathai appeared on the news, she was being harassed, manhandled by police, always in the middle of some confrontation. The people around me did not have kind words to describe her. Adults, including women, would say, "Women are not meant to behave like that." I was a child of my environment and I absorbed it all without question. What none of us realized was that we were consuming a carefully curated narrative built to discredit her. On that, according to her own account, had begun as far back as 1979 with a public divorce weaponized against her, long before I was even born. And you know what? It worked. It was only later in life that I came to truly know her, and when I did, I was in awe. Wangari Mathai held a PhD from the University of Nairobi, the first woman in East and Central Africa to earn one, and went on to become a professor, a parliamentarian, and one of the most consequential Africans her continent had ever produced. She went to the women of rural Kenya, women walking farther every day just to find firewood and clean water. She put seeds in their hands and asked them to plant. What grew was the Green Belt movement. 30 million trees across Africa, 900,000 women empowered through their own land and labor. She understood that environmental destruction and the oppression of women were not separate problems. They were the same problem wearing different faces. When Kenya's second president, Daniel Arap Moi, moved to build a skyscraper in Nairobi's Uhuru Park, one of the city's public green spaces, Wangari Mathai stood in his way. Moi mocked her publicly and personally. She did not move. The project was scrapped. In 1992, as Kenya suffocated under Moi's one-party rule, she stood at Freedom Corner in that same park, leading a hunger strike alongside mothers demanding the release of their imprisoned sons. She believed, in her own words, that there comes a time when humanity is called to shift to a new level of consciousness. In 2004, the Nobel Peace Committee placed a medal around her neck, recognizing a woman who had been tear-gassed and beaten unconscious at Freedom Corner just 12 years earlier. That she walked through all of it and never stopped tells you everything. When you cannot defeat a woman's ideas, you destroy her character. They tried every version of that playbook. None of it worked. Wangari Mathai was the first African woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And we owe her, at least I owe her, the honesty to admit I did not always see her clearly when it mattered.